Marine itch can wipe out your reef tank faster than you think, but it doesn't have to happen to you. Welcome to Loving Pets channel. In today's video, we'll share proven steps to keep your saltwater fish healthy and itch-free, so you can enjoy a thriving reef without the stress of outbreaks. When it comes to saltwater fish parasites, prevention is the best cure, especially when you're keeping them in a reef aquarium. And the best way to prevent your reef aquarium from becoming disease-ridden is by quarantining your fish. To all saltwater aquarists who do not properly quarantine their fish, this is the only way to ensure long-term success in maintaining a healthy fish community. Proper quarantining is of even greater importance in a reef aquarium. If a fish gets sick, it is difficult to treat them effectively because most antiparasitic medications will kill invertebrates. Another problem is that it is often difficult to remove a fish to treat it in a hospital aquarium. By quarantining your fish first, you will have the opportunity to observe and medicate them as needed before introducing them to the display aquarium. What do I mean by properly quarantining your fish? First, let's consider the aquarium itself. I prefer using a 10 or 20-gallon aquarium that has no substrate. The simpler the better. You will tear the aquarium down and sterilize it after each quarantine period anyway. You need a light to observe your fish, set to a normal day-night cycle, and a heater and thermometer to maintain the proper water temperature. For biological filtration, you can use a sponge filter, a power filter, or a canister filter filled with plastic filter media. No crushed coral or carbon should be placed in these filters. A sponge filter, placed in the trickle filter on your display aquarium, or a functioning power or canister filter, can be moved to the quarantine aquarium when you're ready to get a new fish. After the quarantine period is completed, it is very important to sterilize the filter and filter media before placing them back in the display aquarium. To do this, soak the sponge filter media or the inside of the filter in a mild bleach solution, 2% chlorine bleach, the rest tap water, for 24 to 48 hours, and then rinse it repeatedly with fresh water until the chlorine smell is gone. To ensure that all the bleach has been reduced, place the sponge or filter media in a bucket of fresh water, or place some water in a power or canister filter and add chlorine remover. If you do not have the use of an established biological filter, you can just add an air source, can use an air stone, and do frequent water changes. Every second or third day, change about 10 to 15% of the water to prevent the buildup of nitrogenous waste products. Although you need to make sure your fish is properly fed during the quarantine period, it is important not to overfeed. Remove any uneaten fish food from the aquarium immediately. The quarantine aquarium should also have plenty of hiding places so the fish feels secure and less stressed. Plastic flower pots with a hole cut in one side and a rock set on top to weigh them down work great, as do sections of PVC pipe. Stay away from hard coral skeletons and any calcium carbonate substrates, e.g., crushed coral, because they pull some medications out of solution and are more difficult to disinfect. Your quarantine aquarium should not be set up near your display aquarium because parasites can be spread more easily this way, and it should have its own set of utensils, e.g., net, thermometer, scrubber pad. The reason for having separate equipment is to prevent the transfer of parasites from the quarantine to the display aquarium. It is also possible to transmit pathogens from the quarantine to the display aquarium on your hands. To prevent this from occurring, vigorously wash your hands after working in the quarantine aquarium, but not with soap. Between each quarantine period, all utensils, decor, and the aquarium should be disinfected. Fill the quarantine aquarium full of water, place the utensils and decor in the aquarium, add a small amount of chlorine bleach, and let it sit for 24 hours. Then remove the water and rinse the aquarium and accessories thoroughly, and soak them in tap water with added chlorine remover. As far as the quarantine procedure is concerned, I would recommend keeping your fish in quarantine for at least 3 weeks. It is important to observe it carefully during this period and to promptly treat it if a problem arises. If treatment is necessary, make sure you leave the fish in quarantine at least 10 days after treatment is completed to ensure that the fish has fully recovered. As a final disease treatment measure, some aquarists will give their fish a freshwater dip before moving them from the quarantine to the display aquarium. This is done by placing the fish in a bucket, which is designated for aquarium use only, containing freshwater. The freshwater in the bucket should be dechlorinated and at the same temperature and pH as the quarantine aquarium. Leave the specimen in the bucket for 5 minutes, but watch it carefully and remove it and place it in the display aquarium if it seems extremely distressed, e.g., swims about the bucket erratically, lies on its side. The fresh water in the bucket may contain parasites that have dropped off as a result of the change in salinity, so try not to transfer water from the bucket into the display aquarium. The best way to avoid this is to quickly lift the fish out of the bucket and into the aquarium with a soft fish net. One important rule when quarantining is that a fish must go through the entire 3-week process without being exposed to any other fish. If a new fish is added to the aquarium while another specimen is still being quarantined, you should start the whole 3-week process over again. I am aware of several treatments that can be used to eliminate parasites in a reef aquarium. One of the few medications I have tried, with limited success, is metronidazole. This can be used to treat velvet disease, Amylidinium ocellatum. I would not use any copper or formalin-based medications with invertebrates, no matter what the manufacturer says. Dropping the specific gravity to about 1.016 over several hours for a duration of 2 weeks is another method some have reported success with in treating itch, cryptocarian irritants. It has been my experience that this procedure has little or no impact on parasitic infections. Others have reported that it is necessary to drop the specific gravity to 1.012 to successfully eradicate itch, which would also kill your inverts. If you try dropping the specific gravity to 1.016, it is important to monitor and maintain the proper calcium and alkalinity levels so that you do not kill your corals. One final way to rid an aquarium of a parasitic infection is to remove all the fish for 2 months. In this period, all the spores should hatch, and if there are no hosts to feed off, the parasites should die off. Now you know how to prevent marine itch and keep your reef tank healthy for the long run. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more saltwater fish care guides, and check out our playlist on saltwater fish health for even more reef keeping tips. Keep your tank itch free and happy reefing. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.